So getting them to engage in the material is also very difficult. So, and again, I think this is where PebblePad is going to help out. So what I'm getting them to do is to think about what planning is, think about what their skills and their current views and priorities are, and then to map that so that they can imagine themselves in 5-10 years' time and start building their career path right from first year. This is really important, so by the time they get to their final year, which is the 4-year degree, they will say, everything that I've done in my 4 years has been building me up to be this sort of person because this is my passion, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go. So it's about getting them to be self-reflective. When they get to 3rd and 4th year, they'll still have that material with them that they can keep reflecting upon and building. And in fact, when they get to their 4th year, it's not a course that I convene, but Deanna Tomarini convenes it, and she gets them to do an e-portfolio. So by the time they get to that stage, they've already started to build and create that e-portfolio, so it's not something that they leave until the last week of their last semester, of their last year, and rush this thing together. It's actually really meaningful. I get students to reflect upon what they're doing and actually use PebblePad as the workbook. So they submit the PebblePad assignment for that week 3 assessment. What that's allowed me to do last year is actually track those students who in week 2 still hadn't started the assignment. This works really well because in the past students have just said, I don't know how to do a resume, it's just too hard. But by giving them the pro forma and allowing them to fill in the details, then they can go and design their resume because they've got all the information that they need, and it's just about taking that information out and putting it in a super groovy, format. Each section of the report had a separate entry point in PebblePad, and students could work on that and share that so that when it came to putting the report together, everybody was on the same page and everybody had access to that material. The weaknesses is a really simple one, and that's actually getting the students to use it. So I think what PebblePad's going to do, it's actually going to formalize that process in a lot more structured way. So we'll actually have records of the student work. We'll actually be able to say, well, you've got this mark because over here, we gave you all this feedback, you haven't included any of that feedback in here, or you didn't submit anything, you didn't comment on any of the student work over here, so you can't expect your final product to be worth more than this because you haven't followed through with the process. So Studio really is focused on that sort of summative feedback and assessment, and I think this is actually enabling me as a convener to formalize that and to do away with all of that subjective stuff, which is so often a cause of my anxiety, but also student anxiety. The templates work particularly well when it was something like the CV, and they're setting up their CV, which is one part of the assessment item. The other part of the assessment item was an annotated bibliography, and then the third part was an expression of interest. So they actually had to look at the 3 readings that they had done. They had to look at their resume, and they had to put those 2 things together and say, I want to do this job for these reasons, and these are my skills, this is where I want to go. So they actually had to bring the theory, their strengths and their personality and their CV together and address the planning problem that was being presented to them as the studio project.